Howdy! In this video, I'm going to explain Peerceptiv, the online peer reviewing software. Peerceptiv is a research-validated peer assessment technology tool designed to improve writing and critical thinking skills by engaging students in the role of a teacher. With Peerceptiv, you will share your work products with your classmates and review each other's work. Peerceptiv is based on a decade of peer assessment research at the University of Pittsburgh's Learning, Research, and Development Center. Using peer ratings, reliability data, statistics, algorithms, and instructor scores, Peerceptiv can generate grades that are as accurate and reliable as traditional instructor grading. I would argue that the system is more forgiving than if I were to grade your essay individually, because you have the opportunity to earn points at multiple points along the way, and grader fatigue is eliminated. Peerceptiv is a double-blind, cloud-based system, meaning you won't know who is reading and peer reviewing your work or whose work you're reading and reviewing. This helps to eliminate bias and enable anonymous reviewing, which research shows leads to higher quality feedback. So why are we using Peerceptiv? Peerceptiv will allow us to create a community of learners in which we all can help each other to improve. As you work through the process of reviewing your own and your peers' writing, you will improve your writing skills, your critical thinking skills, and analytical reasoning skills. These are all essential skills to develop regardless of which field you pursue for a career or what you do after college. The Peerceptiv system requires that you be an active participant in the learning process, providing feedback and engaging in a student-to-student teaching relationship, capitalizing on the truth that you learn something best when you have to teach it yourself. Let's talk about how to use Peerceptiv. First, you do not need to create an account. Click on the Peerceptiv link in eCampus. You'll be directed to a website where you'll answer a few questions, and then you're automatically entered into My Peerceptiv course. Do not try to access my course via Peerceptiv.com. This won't work. If you get a web page that asks you for a course code, you've gone to the wrong place. There is no course code because we're using Peerceptiv within eCampus. Also, make sure you always click on the Peerceptiv link for the specific assignment you're trying to work on in eCampus. While you can navigate to other assignments through a single link, this will make things complicated down the line. So please use the Peerceptiv assignment link specific to each assignment you are working on. There are 3 steps to Peerceptiv. The first step is to upload your work document. Next, you'll peer review work products from your peers. Finally, you'll provide a back evaluation for the reviews you received from your peers. We'll look at each step in detail now. First, you'll need to develop your work product, i.e., write your essay or complete whatever the assignment is. The most important thing I need to say here is do not put your name on or in your assignment or in any title or name you give the file in Peerceptiv. This will eliminate the double-blind nature of the system. If you're worried about whether or not I'll know that your work is your work, please be assured that I can see whose work is whose. To access the Peerceptiv assignment, click on the title of the assignment in eCampus. This will take you to a portal where you can complete each step of the Peerceptiv process. The first step is to upload your document. Click on the Upload Your Document button. There will be a screen that asks you to review and finalize your submission. Make sure you do this step. You can upload a different version of your assignment up until the review process begins. Let's talk about timelines. There are set due dates for submitting your document in Peerceptiv, completing the reviews, and completing the back evaluations. See the course schedule for these dates. If you don't turn in your document on time in Peerceptiv, you can submit it late up until 24 hours before the end of the review deadline. There will be a 10% late penalty by day. You cannot access assignments to review until you've submitted your own work. But let's say for whatever reason you can't submit your own work in Peerceptiv. For example, you completely missed the deadline because you forgot about it. Rather than earn a 0 for the assignment, wait until 24 hours before the end of the review period and then log in and do the reviewing part of the assignment. This will keep you from earning a 0 even if you don't complete your own assignment. There is a 24-hour reviewing grace period after the deadline for reviews. After that grace period has passed, no reviews are possible. There is no grace period for back evaluations. There is a 10% late penalty for late reviews. The main student dashboard is laid out as a timeline with dates, a progress bar, and color prompts to guide you. The example here shows the student is in the reviewing phase of the assignment. You can see that the student has completed 1 of 3 required reviews. Notice the dates are listed on the timeline. The time of day for deadlines in Peerceptiv is always 11:59 p.m. When you log in to do reviews, you'll request a document. You'll get one document, complete the review for document number 1, and then repeat this process until you complete the minimum number of reviews. You can complete up to 3 extra reviews per assignment for extra credit. Each extra document you review is worth up to 3% extra credit for a maximum of up to 9% extra credit per assignment. This extra credit is automatically included in your assignment grade, which will be reported in eCampus. There is also a place in Peerceptiv where you can look at your grades for each assignment. You will use reviewing dimensions to evaluate your peers' work. There will be multiple reviewing dimensions for each assignment. The reviewing dimensions are like the elements of a rubric. Each reviewing dimension will have details listed that will tell you what qualifies as a 1, 3, 5, and 7. You will consider your peer's work and choose a value that accurately represents the work of your peer, given the specifics for each reviewing dimension. Please note you can select any value between 1 and 7, but there are generally only specific descriptions for values of 1, 3, 5, and 7. Read the specifics for each reviewing dimension carefully and select values solely on what is listed in the dimension. For example, for some assignments you may see a reviewing dimension that assesses grammar and spelling. Please note that tone and writing style are not listed in the specifics of this reviewing dimension, so unless the tone and style have grammar and spelling errors that make it difficult to understand the writing, the tone and style of the writing shouldn't be assessed. Meanwhile, if a peer writes very casually and another writes very professionally, so long as they are both using correct spelling and grammar, it doesn't make a difference for this reviewing dimension. You will also need to provide a constructive comment that explains why you selected the value that you did. If you selected a 7, explain what about your peer's work deserved a 7. Please note that "this is great" is not a helpful comment. You as a reviewer will be scored for how helpful your comments are, so put some thought and effort into the comments you provide your peers. Please note you are not grading your peers. Peerceptiv does not use some sort of raw scoring algorithm to calculate grades earned based on rating points given by peers. Instead, all ratings are weighted based on reviewer accuracy and normalized using statistical functions. I then use benchmark grading to determine the document score. This means that I grade a set number of assignments that sets the grading curve by which all assignments are scored and graded. At the end of the review period, you will receive notification that it's time to read reviews you received from your peers and do back evaluations. For each reviewing dimension, rate the helpfulness and specificity of each of your peers' comments on a scale of 1 to 5. If a peer provided very specific and helpful comments, you'd give them a score of 5. If a peer provided you with very generic and unhelpful comments with little detail and no solution suggested for how you could improve, I'd recommend that you give them a 2 or a 1. You will enter the rating as appropriate for each dimension and add comments as to how the reviewer could have offered more helpful and specific feedback. Be sure to click the Save button when finished and complete the back evaluations for each review received. There are 3 components to your Peerceptiv score: a document score, a review score, and a task score. The document score reflects the quality of the submitted document and is determined from benchmark grading, relative weighting of peer review values, and normalizing of all of these values. The review grade is a combination of your rating accuracy, which is measured by proximity to the reviewing rating mean, and the helpfulness of your comments to your peers, which is determined during back evaluations. Student reviewing accuracy grades are distributed according to a curve, mean, and standard deviation I select. Accuracy grades measure how closely the ranking order of the ratings a reviewer provides on peer documents corresponds to the ranking order of peer rating averages for each rating prompt on those same documents. When students provide ratings that track with the relative order of mean ratings for those same reviewing dimensions on the same documents, they're rewarded with a higher accuracy score. The system calculates the Spearman correlation across the number of papers reviewed, N, times the number of rating prompts, M. Negative correlations are theoretically possible. This would mean that a reviewer had an opposite view from everyone else, and this rarely occurs. Accuracy scores range from -1 to 1, and they are then curved to produce accuracy grades, ranging from 0 to 100, using the grading curve settings. The task score is a simple measure of whether or not the student did all the tasks required of him or her for the assignment. If you performed all the tasks, you receive 100% of the task grade. Remember, you can get up to 9% extra credit on each Peerceptiv assignment for doing up to 3 extra reviews, but a word of caution. If you start an extra review, finish it. If you don't, Peerceptiv will see this as not completing part of your task, and your task score will be negatively impacted. The documents, reviewing, and task score will each be worth a certain percentage of the overall assignment grade. These percentages will be listed in eCampus for each assignment. Finally, allow me to say some closing words on academic dishonesty in Peerceptiv. Don't do it. I have an amazing amount of data and analytics at my fingertips for each assignment. I can see all activity in Peerceptiv, and several types of suspicious activity are flagged for me. I can override all scores in Peerceptiv, so if I find you've attempted to cheat the system, I can override the score Peerceptiv calculated and replace it with a 0. I have done this before, and I have no qualms with giving zeros for students who fabricate data and comments. Do not think that you can skim by, not do the work, fake the reviews, and there will be no consequences for these decisions and actions. I will give zeros for these types of behaviors, and, depending on the severity of the situation, I will report the incidents to the Honor Council. On that pleasant note, if you have any questions, please let me know. I have tracked the data from before I use the system to after, and it's crystal clear that students improve faster and earn better grades using Peerceptiv than if I graded the essays alone. I think you'll find the system interesting because it allows you to learn the material more deeply, think more critically, and read the viewpoints of your peers. I look forward to reading your documents and working with you in Peerceptiv this semester. Thanks and gig 'em.